Welcome, I'm GamerPatty, and today I'm reviewing the Econ Systems The3Cam 130. It's a 4K USB 3.0 cam. Econ Systems sent it to me for free to take a look at it. It's a UVC class camera. That means you can use it on Windows, Linux, Android, anywhere where UVC is supported. It is using a USB 3.0 connection because it's a very special camera. It's capable of 4K at 30 fps, 13 megapixels at 20 fps MJPEG compressed, Full HD at 60 fps or 480p at 120 fps. It comes with some special features like an SDK where you can program your own application to integrate this product, because it's more like a product. It's not a finished product for end consumers. It's more like for integration in your project. It comes as a bare PCB, and the software that comes with it is more like to test it, not to really use it. So let's take a look inside. When I first opened the box, I was wondering, oh, USB cable and empty bag. Doesn't seem to be empty. Oh, that's the camera. It's small, about 15 millimeters to 10 millimeters high, and around 80 millimeters long. Very tiny and fragile PCB. As you can see, it has a USB Type-C port, which is running at USB 3.0 speeds. It has a microprocessor, more on that later in the video. It has another microprocessor. There is a pin header. It allows you to take a picture or to control the shutter. The camera module is one of these smartphone camera modules, but it's Econ branded, so it's a custom one. It has autofocus. It's advisable to put this camera in an enclosure because dirt can get in there and block the autofocus. Alright, that's the camera module with its size compared to a standard SD card. As I said, it's capable of recording Full HD at 60 fps, 4K at 30, and even 4K cinema, the real 4K, which is 4096 by 2160 at 30 fps. And it's also capable of recording 13 megapixel video, which is like picture, but at 20 fps only. And all that in MJPEG compression. If you go the uncompressed way, UIV or whatever it's called, it may be less FPS because there is much higher data traffic going on. On top of that, you can also do 13 megapixel stills, which is 4208 by 3120. But if you prefer the YUV format, it's also capable of doing that. The camera module itself, not a module, more like the sensor, is a on semiconductor AR1335, which is connected over a MIPI CSI camera serial interface to a chip I couldn't identify. It may be a Econ System custom job. It's this one. It is called the HBCVQ70LK. Yeah, probably a custom job. Link to the camera sensor datasheet in the description. The other IC that's handling the GPIO and USB data stream is a Cypress Easy USB CX3 MIPI CSI to super speed USB bridge controller, running a 32-bit ARM core with 200 MHz, and link to the datasheet also in the description. The PCB has a connector called CNT3, which lets you control the shutter and maybe some other features I haven't found yet. It also lets you take still pictures, but it's more up to the software how to handle this feature. The manufacturer provides PDF files with pinout and how to control it. The camera is connected over a USB Type-C connector, which is running at USB 3.0, but it's also compatible with USB 2.0 at the same frame rate when only using MJPEG compression, since it has a much lower throughput. Using a good cable is necessary because at such high speeds and such high bandwidth, corruption can occur. It's advisable to put the camera in a sealed enclosure, not only due to ESD discharges on the PCB which can damage components, also because the camera module and the autofocus mechanism is free. There is no glass pane on top of it. If dirt gets in there, you won't get it out. That's the biggest problem. You better make a case for it or put it behind some glass. It normally comes with a piece of plastic sheet on the camera lens, but it blurs up the image, so I removed it. It's more like a protective tape that should be removed when being used. Except the mounting holes over there, and the lots of components on the back side, there's not much to show on the hardware side anymore. Each camera features a unique ID in case you want to use more than one of them, so you can differentiate them. It consumes about 1.8 watts of power and gets quite hot on both chips. So let's try to get it up and running and see which software it uses and what the video looks like. I'm right now in the eCamView software provided by the manufacturer. It's basically AmpCap, which has been modified by eCam systems to fit their needs. Their camera's got some special features which can be found under the UVC extension. You can change the resolution and compression in there, and the frame rate. As you can see, it's capable of 4K and Full HD. And you can change some additional settings like the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, the sharpness, the gamma, the white balance, and the gain, which is basically the ISO. On the second tab you can digitally zoom, which is great. Due to the 13 megapixel sensor, it crops on the sensor. It doesn't zoom on the video stream, it crops on the sensor. You can also change the focus and frame time to expose the frames for longer. Under the UVC extension you can change their special features, like the scene mode, which enhances contrast, the stream mode, which lets you start or stop the video based on the GPIO pin on the CN3 connector, the autofocus, the exposure, and the exposure window side, which is all explained in their datasheet, the denoising feature, which makes the image blurry but removes some of the noise, and the compression quality. Using a very low compression helps on reducing artifacts on higher bandwidth video. It also has a face detection feature which embeds the face data on the end of each frame. You can flip the image and you can control the frame rate. In order to keep a high frame rate you need a lot of light. This camera is small, the lens is even smaller. In order to get a good quality you need some light. In this case I'm using a flashlight, and you see it's running at a higher frame rate. You also can change the effects to black and white dithering, grayscale, negative and sketch. I find the negative quite useful for reading text on chips. You can change to one-time autofocus or continuous, and you can show the autofocus area. This camera also got HDR, which darkens the bright parts and lightens dark parts to see more in the final image. You can change the image capture burst, which is when you connect the pin on the CN3 connector, it takes 5 images or 1. A smile detection feature, which also embeds the data on end of each frame, which is more technical. And the exposure compensation, which I haven't quite figured out what it's doing. It helps to prevent some flickering. You also can get the firmware version and your serial number. The serial number is the unique ID. In order to record a video outside or in a higher light environment than my room, I had to strap it to my tablet. It's a Windows 10 tablet, and I'm running OBS, which is a slight problem explained later in the video. I tried to record some video on my tablet using OBS, but it is not very fast, and with this high throughput it's really struggling, as you can see. The preview is butter smooth. There is absolutely 30 FPS, but the hardware is just not fast enough to encode into a final video. But the quality overall is very good. On my main computer, on the other hand, I just filmed the ECamView software for those macro shots. Here is an example macro shot of a microchip where I control the focus manually over this slider, and the digital zoom, which is great. Since it's cropping down the 13 megapixel sensor, it doesn't degrade on quality until a certain point. But again, you need a lot of light to do this. Sometimes the camera will show heavy artifacts. This is due to the high bandwidth. It depends on the quality factor, on the resolution, frame rate, and what's in the image itself. If there's a lot of image data that can be compressed, you need to lower the Q factor or your resolution or get a better setup. I find that cheap USB-C cables can cause this problem. Also, due to this issue, using this camera in any other software that doesn't have the UVC extension can be problematic sometimes, since you can't change the Q factor. The delay is also quite good. Since you can change the settings outside the eCam software like the Windows 10 camera app and sometimes even OBS won't work. You can change the Q factor so artifacts may appear. You can't sometimes change the resolution, which is quite annoying. And the worst part, you can't record video in the ECamView software. The default MCap can record video, but not their modified software. So for my next video tests, I either use OBS with not optimum settings, or I just screen cap off the ECamView software. And because of this problem, I can't record many videos showing the quality of this camera. And that's why there's only so few of them in this review. I've talked to the manufacturer, but they didn't really provide me with a solution. The problem is when you ask more than one question, they usually just answer one, and that's bad. So I can't record any videos properly. And because of that, I didn't make the review 2 months ago. I gave them some time to fix the issues and make the camera look better, but they didn't. And I told them I don't want to publish a bad review if the product isn't bad, just the software which can be fixed. But they didn't provide me with a solution, so I have to publish this review instead. But now the downsides. Since not everything can be great all the time, this camera also got its flaws. The USB cable that comes with is very thick and stiff. Maybe too stiff for this tiny PCB. I have no idea how to integrate this into a project without replacing the USB cable. And it also caused some artifacts when being bent, so it's not the highest quality. Another downside is the tiny lens. A tiny lens lets less light through than a bigger lens. And that means this camera's light sensitivity is not great. You need a lot of light to sustain the frame rate, or you either increase the gain or ISO, which makes the image look noisy. So it's not suited as a webcam in a darkened environment like a bedroom. It also has a quite noisy picture on the higher resolution mode, and the denoiser feature makes the image more blurry than it fixes the noise. It's annoying. Another thing is the software. Surely you can make your own using the libraries, but not everyone can do C++. But since the camera isn't made for mass market, The eCamView application is just a test suite for people to verify that their hardware works. The camera is supposed to be used as a development device for your projects, which involves software development and all that. When you buy this camera, you will get a note to visit their developer website. You have to register there, but it's a slight problem. Since they don't allow Gmail and Yahoo mail addresses, I can't register. So I asked the support, "Yo dog, can I have software for 3cam? I can't register on your website, nigga, cause Gmail and Yahoo is blocked. Please help me." And they responded and sent me the necessary documents and software. You can find it on the video description. There is a small bug in the software. If you change the tilt shift in the second tab, the camera locks up. You have to reconnect it then. Tilt shift moves the scanned area on the sensor itself around. Unfortunately, on the CN3 connector there are no servo or motor outputs. Now to the conclusion. Overall, would I recommend this to anyone looking for a USB camera? I had more trouble than fun. For a normal person, definitely no. But for someone with knowledge, maybe. It's a development platform for hackers, electronic hobbyists, scientists, engineers, but not open source. If you know how to set up the software and know how to handle the hardware, it's definitely a good camera. Impressive specifications in a small form factor for just $99 US. At the time of making this video, the price may change, and the video quality is very good. Just the software sucks. I like the quality when being used as a macro camera, especially with a good digital zoom. I will use it as a cheapo microscope, which I probably do someday. Econ is providing all necessary informations on their website, including customizing section for each of their products. If you need something special, you can ask them to customize it over their website. It's probably for people that need more than one unit and pay extra. But it's great that they do this. Thanks for watching this review about the Econ Systems C3cam 130 USB camera. Links to their website and the product in the description. If you got questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'm Gimapedi, and that's it. Bye.